You know what this means? I'm going to need to eat my words here. I said a while back that I was done with canister filters, and I meant it at the time, but you know what? I found a canister filter that I think is so well designed, so intelligent and so clever that I just had to try it. Particularly since it was sitting there at nearly half price just because it had the heater missing. I couldn't walk away from that. And credit where credit's due, these filters weren't even on my radar until a regular viewer, Robert Fletcher, had mentioned them to me and spoke highly of them. So thanks, Robert, for that, because without you I probably wouldn't have given this a shot or even a second glance. So it's the Oase Biomaster Thermo 250 we're looking at, and as well as a filter you get your wee box of accessories here. Pretty standard in some ways and not so much in other ways. There's your wee bag for assembling your input and outtakes. Sort of information you'd expect with a new filter. There's the feet, rubber feet to keep it off the ground and reduce any vibrations you might get, not that you do. And there's the heater clip if you had a heater, which of course I don't. That's the intake pipe and your spray bar. And there's a wee connector there. I'm just going to stick that on the end of the spray bar now so I don't lose it. And finally we have our pipes. And this is smart. Normally you get two, but they give you one long one because obviously wherever you place your filter it's not always centered, so you can cut it appropriately. Smart. Your in and out valves twist all the way around, so that really helps when you're placing the tubes on them. Sometimes they can be a bit rigid. You can get the angle that you're looking for, and there's where the heater goes. I could have opted to buy a heater, but I'm going with the end cap that blocks it off because a couple of folks said to me it can get a bit gunked up around the heater. It can kind of trap some of the waste, and I don't think that's ideal. I'm quite happy with having my heaters in the tanks. So there we go, I'm going to use the end cap instead. Obviously that's not personal experience, so I don't want to say that definitely happens, and I'm sure if you keep on top of your maintenance it probably won't. But since I already have heaters in the tanks and I have the end cap, it doesn't really make any sense me buying one at this stage. The advantage of using the heater that you usually get with it though is that you can change the temperature from outside the filter. You don't have to get your hands wet and it's nice and easy. A wee flick of that paddle there enables you to completely remove the tube connector. And these wee fins on the side there means that you can't put it in the wrong way round when you're replacing it. If you take a look from the top, the gap on the left is much larger than the one on the right, so you can't put it in the wrong way. Slots into place, move the paddle back and it locks. Genius. On the opposite side we've got our primer, which I don't really use to be honest with you. Spent many a long hour fighting with these things in the past, pumping them with nothing happening till I figured out a different way of doing it. But releasing that paddle there means you can pull out this compartment. And this is one of the really clever things about this filter. The top part is just your primer. You don't really remove that. I've just done that to show you there. But if you release these wee catches here, it exposes your pre-filter sponges. Pre-filter sponges inside your filter. That is smart, so it is. There's 4 in total, which means you can clean them or replace them independently, of course. And this chamber is where the water first enters, goes through those sponges and then is drawn up through this pipe before going on to the rest of the filter. What that means is if you do your maintenance regularly enough on this wee compartment here, you don't have to do so much maintenance on the rest of the filter. Maintenance on canister filters can be a bit laborious, so it's ideal when you think about it. But once you've given them a squeeze out in some tank water, slot that back into place, and you'll notice once again you can't put it in the wrong way. If we get a wee look through the top here, it's the same as the other side. One of the gaps is much wider than the other, so you can only put it in one way There we go. Lock it into place, and that's you. Like I said, if you keep on top of the maintenance for that wee bit there, you shouldn't have to do so much maintenance on the rest of the filter. How cool is that? The carry handle, again quite smart. I've not seen that on very many filters. Also acts as a wee safety device, because that wee lip there, when it's closed over, means that you can't release the catch to open the filter up. One's on the left and right anyway. You need to make sure the handle is elevated in order to remove them, so nice wee safety feature there. If we remove the 4 clasps all the way around, we can lift the head off. And this is where you'll see that compartment we looked at earlier? It's completely enclosed there. Look, there's a wee flap that goes over. And that stops any debris falling back into the tank from them sponges when you pull it out. Next we have the impeller, where you'd expect to find the impeller. But again, here's a bit of innovation. On a lot of filters, these wee end parts here are normally made out of rubber. And they can kind of degrade quite quickly, but these are made of solid plastic with wee rubber rings around them. Theoretically, that's going to make them last much longer. They've really thought about this, haven't they? All the things that you find wrong in other filters, they've tried to address them, I think, and come up with some pretty cool solutions. Next we get in our media trays. There's 4 in this model, and the first one has got a fine foam pad in it. Ideal. Second one down is a coarse foam pad. Look at the depth of it though. It's going to catch loads of gunk in there. In our third tray we have another foam exactly the same as the one before. And then in the bottom we've got this biological media. This looks to be good stuff too. It kind of looks like the K1 media, so pretty good that you get that as standard with the filter. The only thing, this is the only thing that I think they've got wrong here. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me in the comments if I'm thinking about this the wrong way. But we already said the water comes into the pre-filter chamber first, right? Then it heads on into the rest of the filter and comes up through the bottom, through the biological media, and then the sponges, which doesn't make sense to me. If that's the case, then most of the filth and the debris is going to clog up your biomedia first, then get trapped in the sponges above it. If the biomedia gets clogged, then it's rendered effectively useless. So I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to put the deep sponges in the bottom, first 2 trays, then the biomedia, and then finally I'm going to put the tray with the finer foam in it, just to polish the water on the way back to the tank. Like I said, if you don't agree, if you think I'm missing something here, or you've got a better idea, put it in the comments below, because I'd love to get to the bottom of this. I kind of got a bit of faith in these guys already, and so I'm kind of wondering why they do that. Anyway, we can put our filter back together now. Close over all the clasps that hold the head on. Make sure we've got our paddles in the lock position. And that's us. That's it, pretty much set and ready to go. Ready for the tubes to be attached. Now I'm not going to go over some of the basic stuff, but I did want to have a look at these. Look at the way they're angled there, look. Obviously that's the end the tube goes on. That's your wee tightener there, but look at the shape of that. That's going to sit on the edge of your tank, and the flattened bottom means that it's going to sit flush to the tank, rather than the kind of shepherd's crook design that you see on a lot of filters that kind of move about as well. Then the intake and the output both have flow adjusters. I found it's better to use a coin to try and alter them. But just in that wee part there, there's so many better ideas than you used to seeing on a lot of other filters. They give you a spray bar or a spray jet option. And obviously your spray bar can move through 360 degrees vertically and 360 degrees horizontally. Pretty versatile. You can even have it pointing straight down if you want, if that's your thing. Remember I said I'm not a fan of primers on filters. If you're interested in another way of starting your canister filter, there's a card up there. to a video that will help you out. So that last clip was the sound of it filling up, and then once that's done and you've switched the filter on, it does make a bit of noise at first, but that's because there's some trapped air in there. Just tilt it slowly front to back and left to right, and that'll purge that air out of there for you. You might need to do that a couple of times, but see, once it's done, this filter is silent so far. You can't hear it at all. Very impressed with it. Despite that, it gives you really good flow, as you can see here, but it's not so powerful that it's going to suck your fry up. Look, my condensers fry were messing about around the intake there before I could grab the camera. They kind of backed off a bit once I did, but they're quite happy there, aren't they? And there we go, the Oase Biomaster Thermo 250. Super impressed with it so far. Looks like a little grey R2D2, doesn't it? I love that too. Packed with features that nobody else has thought of so far. Solutions to frustrations we've all felt. Pretty excited about it. I'm pretty keen on it so far. And I'm out then. Later.